The Castlevania series has long been celebrated for its rich Gothic atmosphere, intricate storytelling, and its reimagining of classic horror tropes. Castlevania Nocturne, the animated sequel to Netflix's Castlevania, continues this tradition by introducing a new cast of vampires with unique powers, personalities, and motivations. While the series is rooted in fantasy, it draws heavily from historical vampire myths and Gothic literature, blending them with original lore to create something fresh yet eerily familiar. This essay explores the vampires of Castlevania Nocturne in comparison to their historical and folkloric counterparts. By examining their powers, weaknesses, social structures, and motivations, we can see how the series both adheres to and diverges from traditional vampire mythology. Before analyzing Nocturne's vampires, it is essential to understand the roots of vampire mythology. Vampires, as we know them today, are an amalgamation of various global folkloric traditions, religious fears, and literary embellishments. Early vampire legends in Eastern European like the Slavic Yupper or Strigoi were undead beings that returned to drink the blood of the living. They were often associated with plagues and bad omens. Greek and Roman myths mention the Impausa and Lamia were blood-drinking female demons, precursors to later vampire myths. Medieval European fears that the dead were sometimes believed to rise from their graves, leading to practices like staking corpses or placing stones in their mouths to prevent resurrection. The literary vampires of 18th to 19th century Gothic fiction includes works like The Vampire, 1819, by John Polidori and Carmilla, 1872, by Sheridan Le Fanu introduced aristocratic, seductive vampires. Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1897, the quintessential vampire novel, blending folklore with Victorian anxieties about sexuality and foreign influence. These traditions laid the foundation for modern vampire fiction, including Castlevania. Nocturne's vampires possess supernatural abilities that both align with and expand upon historical myths. Superhuman strength and speed. Many vampire legends describe them as unnaturally strong and fast, able to overpower victims effortlessly. In Nocturne, vampires like Ursibit Bathory and Drolta exhibit immense physical prowess, tearing through enemies with ease. Shape-shifting and mist form. Some Eastern European vampires could transform into bats or wolves, while others dissolved into mist. Vampires in Nocturne often morph into monstrous forms, enhancing their terrifying presence. Hypnosis and mind control. Vampires were sometimes said to mesmerize victims, as seen in Dracula's influence over Lucy. Nocturne takes Ursibit Bathory's ability to command legions of followers mirrors this trait, reinforcing her role as a cult-like leader. Immortality and regeneration. Vampires were often considered undead, unable to die naturally. While in Nocturne, vampires heal rapidly from wounds, with only specific methods, holy weapons, sunlight, proving fatal. Sunlight. Not all historical vampires were weak to sunlight. This was popularized by Nosferatu, 1922, and Dracula. The series retains sunlight as a lethal weakness, though Ursibit Bathory's eclipse ritual subverts this, making her nearly invincible. Religious symbols. Holy water, crosses, and garlic were common wards against vampires. Nocturne acknowledges these weaknesses but sometimes subverts them. Vampires mock faith, showing their dominance over mortal beliefs. Decapitation and staking. Beheading or driving a stake through the heart were classic methods of killing vampires. In Nocturne, these methods remain effective, though higher vampires may require more powerful means. Hey everyone, just pausing real quick. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Castlevania Nocturne and its vampire lore, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Your support helps this channel grow, and ringing that notification bell means you won't miss future videos on Gothic horror, gaming, and mythology. Seriously, it means a lot. Now, back to the bloodsuckers. Aristocratic rule. Vampires in literature often represented corrupt nobility, e.g., Dracula's feudal dominance. However, in Nocturne, vampires like Ursabet Bathory rule with absolute authority, reflecting historical tyrants. Vampires as revolutionaries. Nocturne introduces vampires who see themselves as liberators, overthrowing human oppression, a fresh take compared to traditional parasitic vampires. The night creatures and subordinate vampires. Lesser vampires often served masters, akin to how Dracula commanded brides and minions. Drolta and other vampires serve Ursabet, reinforcing a rigid hierarchy. Traditional vampires, predatory and selfish. Most folkloric vampires were driven by hunger and malice. Nocturne's vampires retain this but add political ambition. Ursabet seeks to reshape the world, not just feed. Vampires as symbols of oppression. The series parallels historical atrocities, e.g., Ursabet's real-life counterpart, the Blood Countess, who tortured servants. Vampires represent colonial and aristocratic tyranny, reflecting real-world power struggles. Castlevania Nocturne masterfully blends historical vampire lore with original storytelling. While it draws from classic myths, superhuman abilities, weaknesses to holy objects, and aristocratic dominance, it also innovates by giving vampires ideological motivations and revolutionary fervor. By comparing Nocturne's vampires to their folkloric and literary predecessors, we see how the series both honors and reinvents vampire mythology. Whether as monstrous predators or tyrannical rulers, these vampires remain compelling because they reflect humanity's deepest fears of death, oppression, and the unknown. In the end, Nocturne proves that vampire stories endure not just because they terrify us, but because they make us confront the darkness in history and ourselves.